talk about Larian. It's crazy how in 1 week a studio can go from being one of the most beloved RPG makers of all time to now what could be the most hated studio just like that. So if you haven't heard, just recently at the Game Awards, Larian unveiled their brand new game, Divinity, the sequel to Divinity Original Sin 2. Except this time, it's bigger, it's better, it's gonna be amazing. And obviously, if you've seen the trailer, it's crazy. Like, they got all sorts of gore, they got things exploding, they got some lady fucking a dragon, like, there's all sorts of shit going on, and it's nuts. But it looks unbelievably good. Of course, it's not gameplay, but I'm sure once we get a look at that, it'll be delicious, okay? Now, here's the issue. Everything seemed great, okay? Everything's going smooth and dandy. They won Game of the Year with Baldur's Gate 3, and obviously, everybody's expecting to be blown away by this game. And obviously, you're fair to think that based on how good their previous games have been. So after revealing this game, they do a little one-on-one with Jason Schreier, also known as the press sneak fuck if you've been around for long enough. And in this discussion, he basically starts asking the CEO, Sven Vinke, a bunch of questions about how Larian's been operating, what the development's like, what's been going on with the studio, and everything like that. That's all fine and dandy, okay? Everybody's good with that. They were working on a different game, they abandoned that project, that, you know, Baldur's Gate 3, they're happy about that, but they wanted to do something of their own, which is why they abandoned it. Now they're making Divinity. Great. Here's the problem. Here's why everybody is so upset. Under Vinke, Larian has been pushing hard on generative AI. Although the CEO says the technology hasn't led to big gains in efficiency. He says there won't be any AI-generated content in Divinity, everything is human actors, we're writing everything ourselves, but that the creators often use AI tools to explore ideas, flesh out PowerPoint presentations, and develop concept art and write placeholder text. People are not happy about this. Twitter is exploding with people just attacking their favorite studio because they can't believe it. How can a studio that is built up on so many great stories, so many great characters, so many great moments, now basically say that they're using AI to help generate those things? And yeah, obviously that's not what he's saying. He's saying that they're using it at a very early conceptual phase to kind of get them in the headspace of what's going on. But it doesn't matter because once people hear AI, they start to lose their freaking minds. And I'll just tell you straight up, I think AI is atrocious. I think other than being like a tool, which is all it is, all that it needs to be used for is a tool. It should be used as a tool just like how Photoshop is a tool. There are good things about it, there are bad things about it. If you let AI take over every single aspect of everything, then you're a goddamn moron and you're a loser and you shouldn't be creative and you shouldn't be doing anything creative because clearly you don't have a creative bone in your body if you're relying 100% on AI. But for example, using AI to do PowerPoint presentations, go right ahead. Honestly, go right ahead. That doesn't bother me. But the very mention of using it for concept art and temporary text has gotten people really riled up. But of course, Sven's not gonna let that slide. He's gonna respond with a very bad response. Holy fuck, guys. We're not pushing hard for or replacing concept artists with AI. We have a team of 72 artists, of which 23 are concept artists, and we are hiring more. The art they create is original, and I'm very proud of what they do. I was asked explicitly about concept art and our use of Gen AI. I answered that we use it to explore things. I didn't say we use it to develop concept art. The artists do that, and they are indeed world-class artists. We use AI tools to explore references, just like we use Google and art books, which is very fair. It's very fair, okay? If that is absolutely the case, then it's fair. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to using AI as a tool, okay? Because when you do something like this, the example of also using AI like art books and Google, many times, artists, creatives, even people like me, there's a lot of times where it's like, I'm trying to think of a thumbnail idea or something, you know what I mean? I'll look up other thumbnails and I'll be like, oh, that's a great, let me borrow a little bit from here. Let me borrow a little bit from there. Let me see what's going on here. And then you mesh it together, you come up with something, you know, it sparks some creativity in you and you come up with something new. There's nothing wrong with that. So to use AI in that kind of way to generate ideas, there's nothing wrong with that. The issue actually that comes from that is that the AI is generating the art based on other people's stolen stuff, which is not good. Because if you just look at an art book, you're looking at somebody's actual thing that they drew and that they maybe got paid money for, and you're going, this is inspiring me. You're not kind of stealing somebody's art to then inspire you. So now it just is like, people are mad. Lol, as someone who's worked there 4 years, I'm not surprised. Larian Studios leaning into generative AI despite internal pushback. Everyone at the company is more or less okay with the way we're using it. He's lying about people being okay with it. He absolutely is lying because also you have people who are like high up at Larian, the worst person you've ever met. Here's how AI could improve this. Every app notification I get on my phone is we have an exciting new AI feature that fucking doesn't work at all, and I wholly believe the bubble, in a financial sense, is indeed about to burst. These people at Larian do not like it. We've hired creatives for their talent, not for their ability to do what a machine suggests, but they can experiment with these tools to make their lives easier. Hate to break it to the internet, but I'm fairly certain that most, if not all, studios are doing this in some capacity. They are just not telling you. 100%. For example, I can guarantee all upcoming EA, Microsoft, Ubisoft, Activision will be replacing devs with AI? Probably. And if you don't believe it, here's some proof. Expedition 33 team freely admitted using AI and just won the most awards ever in the Game Awards history. We use some AI, but not much. Says the producer of Clair Obscur, the key is that we were very clear about what we wanted to do and what to invest in. And of course, technology has allowed us to do things that were unthinkable a short time ago. They're using AI, and people weren't upset about that because most people didn't know because they weren't very transparent about it. And then when somebody did realize, because there was a time when somebody did realize, AI placeholders actually shipped with the game and only got removed when people noticed. People noticed that this was here, and there was an explosion on Twitter of people being very upset about this. And Expedition 33 devs were like, oh, our mistake. That wasn't supposed to be there. That was temporary. And they pulled it, and it's been replaced. But people didn't like it. But most people don't know. They think it's all handmade. The thing that's so insidious about using AI this way is that one of the main ways artists get hired are studios looking for art references, and they find us and reach out. This is removing a major avenue to get work if they can just generate nameless derivatives of our ideas. It's true. Why hire somebody to make art when you can just generate 1,000 pieces of art like that? You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to pay a guy. You just subscribe to ChatGPT. Here's Hogue. The end result of this level of backlash is not the end of generative AI. It is the end of the remotest transparency about how Gen AI is used. Absolutely. If they see that this is how people act, just from even barely using AI as a tool, not as a replacement, as a tool. Like they said, they're not replacing anybody. They're hiring more people to use the tool to help them speed up the process. There's no way people are going to talk about it anymore. There's no way. The backlash has been swift and loud. Everyone knows that the best way to start your response to a PR crisis is holy fuck, guys. I mean, obviously, not a good look. Now, here's the other thing, okay? Here's the other thing. There is one group of people that absolutely despises AI. They won't use it. They won't play anything that has it. They'll actively boycott it. You know, there's tons of people that I've already seen online who are like, I'm not playing Divinity just because it uses AI. Then you have the other group of people who are much more open to it, and they're accepting of it, honestly. They don't care. Realistically, as long as they get to play the game they want to play and it's a good game, they don't care what you use. They don't care who you killed to make it, to be honest, as long as it's a good game. Which leads me to this point. I got in some hot water for saying this before, but general audiences really won't care about Gen AI in their AAA games. Nobody's going to boycott Divinity or GTA or Mario. And I'll tell you straight up, there is a very small subsect of people who will boycott it, but the overwhelming majority will not. They might not like that there's Gen AI stuff in it. They might not like that ChatGPT wrote the flavor text, but I guarantee you they're going to be playing all of these games, and they'll even pay extra to get it early access. I gotta be clear, okay? I'm not on board with this. You know what I mean? What's happened now is that Larian has got themselves into a very tricky situation, and they're going to have to do a lot of work to get back into people's good graces. I mean, realistically, it is the internet, so people will forget about majority of this probably by tomorrow, but the deep, like the hardcore fans aren't gonna forget, and they're gonna want some change, and they're gonna want to know that change has been made and that AI has been completely removed from the project fully. And I think until that happens, there are going to be a bunch of people who won't play it. Just like how a lot of times, you know, there's a bunch of weirdos who are like, I'm not playing that game. The main character's ugly. You're dumb. But I think the same kind of thing applies, where people are just gonna be like, if it's AI, then fuck it. They can go fuck themselves. Bad time to be Larian, honestly. Great reveal, bad follow-up.